So, check it out. So I've been trying to go through some of my notes to try to figure a lot of things out. It's kind of getting to be a little difficult because let's just talk about it for a minute. There's a lot of moving elements, and the lore that I've been building for many years, right? Using all these little notebooks to try to compile everything. Because what I would always do is I would say, okay, I'm creating this fucking place. I'm making this fantasy world. I'm going to grab a notebook and I'm just going to write stuff down in it. And it's just whatever. It's from poetry to lore to pictures, talking about characters to practicing, you know, all that kind of stuff that you would imagine is in a fucking journal about writing a book. And periodically it would fill up, and then I'd go to another one, and then that would fill up, and I'd go to another one, and then another one, and so on and so forth. Then what I would do, as you can see here, I try to go through them every once in a while to keep fresh on stuff, to keep... What was that thing I said about the Forgotten King in 2014? I remember because we had this conversation, but I don't remember what we said. So I got to go back and thumb through it and then make notes and mark it and say, okay, that's what we thought he was at that time. But then 3 years later, I find this one and this is what we think he is. But like 5 years ago, from that point, I found he was like this. So what I would end up doing is taking all these elements of what he was and putting them in one room and deciding at then and there, what am I doing with this? Generally, I always find that it always works together. You just have to kind of change stuff. You have to kind of maybe change a name or two, or maybe change like a time frame, or throw it. Maybe that's a perspective. Because for me, like the Forgotten King, for instance, first he was Forgotten King. I don't know who he was. Then all of a sudden he's like, well, he's like the evil guy. He's the biggest evil one in the whole book, and he lives on the moon. You know, and then all of a sudden I'm like, well, he was like kind of, I don't think he was evil. I think maybe he was, and this was a guy named Brent who helped me see this. Maybe he was kind of like a sad character. Maybe he was betrayed or something. I'm like, okay, interesting. And then now it's like, and then all of a sudden he was a really good guy, but then he got confusing again. And so I would take all that and I said, well, him being a bad guy is an Anaka perspective, and this is the even perspective, and this is probably what other people think. It ended up working that way. But that's just one example. But the biggest thing is always trying to keep straight every moving element in there. Like, for me, the hardest part is introducing an element, but you can't just leave it at that. Let's say me and you are writing a book, and I'm like, yeah, our character is in the woods, and he's, you know, on his way to the wizard because he's going to learn how to become a wizard. And you're like, yeah, okay. What I'll get hung up on is like, yeah, but like, why does he want to become a wizard? And it's like, well, okay, let's workshop that. And then we do, and then I'm just like, okay, so he wants to become a wizard because his dad used to be a wizard. He didn't know that because his dad was gone his whole life, and then he found out he was killed. And there's actually this whole entire school of wizards that his father was a part of, his mother kind of kept from him. So he wants to go do this to find out who his dad really is. And so it's like, okay, cool, that's his backstory. Then I'll be like, yeah, but you know, I don't... What would his motivating factor be? Like, why does he feel like he needs to emulate his father in some sense? Or I'll get caught up on like, well, what about the relationship with his mother? Or I'll think, how exactly does this school work? If I walk into this school, like, what is the administration like? I mean, how does the school fund, you know, like repairs in the building? And you know what I mean? That's what I get caught up on. And I literally have a fucking hard time not like, because that stops me dead. If I don't answer those questions, how the fuck am I supposed to know? I can't just like put a character there. Like, yeah, there's a fucking janitor and there's a maintenance man. They're talking about a hole in the fucking castle wall that happened because of rocks crumbled and foundation problems. anyway. And I'll be like, well, I don't know. Like, what kind of foundation are they sitting this on? Where exactly is this located? Like, what's going on underneath the ground here? What kind of water do they have nearby and stuff? Like, how do they feed themselves? What kind of bathrooms do they use? And like, I find myself getting caught up in that, and that's what like makes writing difficult, because the minutia, right? The minutia of that stuff. So what I always tell myself is, let's just do stream of consciousness. Let's just kind of don't fucking think about these things. You can do that when you're editing. You need to just write the fucking story. Well, for me, and this is what sucks, I have a fucking hard time stream of consciousness movement. Like I'm here and I'm gonna go to the fucking grocery store. I have a really hard time like doing that. But what can I do in stream of consciousness really well? Thinking. Like when I'm sitting there writing a chapter and they're like doing stuff, I'm like, I don't know. But as soon as I got the character to think about stuff, I can do that for 20 pages of him thinking and thinking and thinking, and how the process of his thoughts kind of keep going. And I just think, like, I can't keep writing a story about characters sitting there thinking all the time. But that's all I ever do, you know? I don't go out into the world and do a bunch of fucking things. I don't travel, I really don't leave the house unless I have to go grocery shopping or go to work. That's the only time I leave the house. So for me, it's hard to write movement because I don't like to do it. Thinking? Holy shit, man, that's what I do in spades. I have no problem going to the deepest, darkest depths of the character's psyche. That's fucking easy to me. So I get kind of caught in this battle of like, okay, I really want to explore the world, but I get hung up on all these dumb little questions that to me matter. And if I don't answer them, I don't feel like doing it anymore. Well, then I'm also not very good at getting character to go out and do stuff, but I'm very good at getting them to sit and think about shit, and not just think like, you know, sub-level kind of like, I think I might like to do that later because that sounds, I do enjoy it. I like to think about shit like, how does this truly affect me as a human being in this exact moment? What are the preceding things that had led up to this point? And how can I identify which road to go down next? Like, that's what my characters do. They're just thinking about all this stuff. So I get stuck in that area. I'm like, what do I do? And how do I write this? And as they always say, you have to write what you know. And that's all I know. And so I just kind of roll with it. You know, dialogue I can do pretty okay. You know, I have my moments. But generally, I love inner monologues. I love them. Like, to me, that's what I want to read mostly, is an inner monologue of someone thinking about their life, or someone thinking about how outside forces and internal ones are affecting the way they view the world. I want to read that fucking story. So it's finding the way it should be narrated, and finding the theme that I constantly am just battling, because, you know, generally knowing that, but I'm like, is someone going to want to read this? Is someone going to want to read this fucking person that's just thinking all the time? You know what I mean? And then it's like, yeah, then he walked over there and he fought a dragon and all that stuff. But anyway, after the fight, he was thinking about stuff. Like, that's kind of what I want it to be. And I try my best to not go that far with it. I try my best to explore the world. I try my best to have engaging scenes, but I always end up being caught up with, like, sometimes in life, and most of the time in life, I should say, you don't have some fucking engaging scene going on where you're just like, man, I just fought a fucking bear outside for 25 minutes. You know, like, that doesn't happen to people. Most of our lives are just kind of like, yeah, anyway, I went here now. Now, I don't even remember how I got here, but I drove here. Like, that's all our lives now. So for me, it's like, I don't want to get hung up on that shit too much. But I'm writing a fantasy, so we have to kind of get hung up on that. People want to hear about that shit. Where, like I was discussing in the last video, talking about the politics. I have no interest in politics. I don't give a fuck about it. It doesn't mean shit to me. I have to write it, though, so that's a stepping out of the comfort zone and trying to figure out, like, how that shit fucking works. I'll just copy paste fucking world peace or some shit. You know, fuck it if they need it that bad. So, you know, I guess it's hard. It's really hard. I'll battle this kind of stuff a lot. It's finding the innermost depth of what the story is and trying to find the innermost, let's just say, like, what the story is designed to say in terms of what they do from day to day. And in those moments of, like, as we kind of explore each character and each scenario that they have, the idea is to learn who they are in those moments. You know, like I put an obstacle in front of you, I let you think about it for a while, let you do it. You can learn about who this guy is or who this gal is. In that, the high story, I don't... Like, and so many times, I talk about this a lot, but like, there's a lot of times where someone's like, what's the story about? And every time I think I already know. Like, I finally figured it out. It took me this many years, but I finally did, which I've said a million times before that. And then someone finally says, what's it about? Some sort of new trigger happens where I'm like, I don't even know. I have no idea what it's about. Because that's always how it feels. It's like, I'll sit there and I'm like, okay. Clearly, it's about a character's growth in a world of chaos, and he has to find himself in that, but he's also the prophetic hero that will bring some sort of balance or some sort of stability to a world that was never supposed to exist in the first place. He must seal the door and disallow all of the blasphemy that exists, that was allowed in and grown. He has to destroy it all in a sense and bring back a God that is trapped in another realm. So that God may stop the perpetual war between the other gods and stop all this shit from happening, so this place can become an empty void like it's supposed to be. So that's what the book's about. But then there are times where something will be presented. Some sort of new perspective. What exactly is the Forgotten King? What exactly is it to be trapped in the realm of creation? What exactly are the Titans? Some sort of new element will pop up, and it will just make me question the whole damn thing. I'll be like, well, I don't even know if it's about that then. I have no idea what this is about. Out of there. When I think about Eris's journey, Eris in the entirety of book 1 is being led to different places because of someone else's thing. Like, listen, you need to shut the fuck up and listen to me. Don't ask too many questions. Let's go. So you were kind of dragged along with him, in a sense. And then there's a slow moments of like, okay, this is what you might be. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. We have to go here. But he doesn't have any clue why, because I didn't when I was writing it. And so he's super fucking confused. And then you're finally presented with like, okay, here's what we think the prophecy might be, and you're probably a centerpiece in it. Oh shit, okay. Why am I the important one? And then all of a sudden it's like things happen. But then in book 2, it's like, he's like, I think I know that I'm part of some sort of prophetic fucking bullshit going on. But then these people said different things. Then this guy over here said something totally different, but they all want me to do something. And then I find out the guy that was trying to help me the whole time might have been trying to kill me. I don't even know. So everyone needs me to do something. But everything that they want me to do is totally different than the other person's. So the hero's just sitting here like, I don't understand what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Because so far in his story, not one person said, what the fuck do you want to do? Everyone kind of either says, you have to do this, or you have this potential and let me show you how to use it. And so he just kind of sits and thinks like, I never had a chance to ask myself these questions. So he doesn't even know who he is. And yes, eventually he will have that moment of like, I'm going to not do what they want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do, you know, his character growth. I'll do that. But as of now, he doesn't have a damn clue of what the fuck is going on and who he is. And there's a bunch of different fucking people telling him, like, no, you should know who you are because we told you that. You're this guy. You're Anakin Skywalker. Like, you're going to bring balance to the Force. And then this guy's like, depends on how you look at the word Force and balance, but you're definitely going to be a part of something very big. And then this guy's like, yeah, bring balance to the Force and, you know, subjective views and all that. That's cute. I want you to join me. I have something far greater than you could ever understand. And then you have another guy that's just like, fuck all that. I need you. And there's like, he needs me? And then you find out, yeah, I need you. I need you to, like, because I'm going to fucking have you killed. But I need this. And so he's got all this shit that's happening around him. And not one time does he get a chance to... For me, that's why the introspective moments are crucial. Because I'm allowing you to go into the character's mind. And they always say, don't tell them how to think and feel. Let them figure it out. And I'm like, fuck that. You need to hear what he's going through. You need to hear his, I don't understand what the hell's happening right now. And trying to, as we all do, trying to think his way through and like, okay, this must be what's going on, so I must be like this, and I must think this way and behave that way. I guess they're right, but let me find a way to make this feel right. And that's all he's trying to do. And then you have other characters that will give viewpoints through that, and they'll get their chance to, you'll get a chance to kind of enter their minds a bit. And everyone's all in a confliction. I'm conflicted with the person that I serve. I'm conflicted with my past. I'm conflicted with what lies ahead. I'm conflicted with just being alive. Every character has something that they struggle with. Whether that's their, faith, all the way to their daily will to want to survive. And everything in between that. It's crucial to me to explore human experience and human doubt, because I think that's the most important thing to face, to be confronted with in reading, is human doubt. And like, what exactly is human doubt? I have it all the time. Sometimes I'll just like lay there and I'll just be like, is this the life that I wanted? Is this everything that I wanted to do? Am I with who I'm supposed to be with? Am I doing in my life what I'm supposed to be? And sometimes there's a part of me that says, I don't want it anymore. I don't want to do any of those things. I don't want this life. And then there's another part of me that does want it. And then there's that third part of me that doesn't understand what the point is in all this. So I myself find great confliction in just about every aspect of my life. So I thought it was, important with the characters to say, maybe everyone has this problem in some way, shape, or another. And some characters hide it well, because there's certain characters that I try to hide it. The ones like in real life, you're like, I didn't know he was going to kill himself. We never saw that coming. And it's like, well, if you paid attention, you would have. But some of the characters that I write have big walls up. Other characters use other things. Like, no, I'm not upset about this. I'm upset about that. That's what I'm upset about. And they lie to themselves. Other characters tell themselves stoicism is the best way to practice this kind of problem. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. Maybe it'll go away. Let's face it. Like, you're not facing it, actually. You're walking away from it. You're facing the fear of fucking confronting it. So there's all these people they're doing this their own way. I thought it was important to say Eris, the main hero, he's the one that's facing the true fucking problem. Constantly. I don't understand what the fuck I'm supposed to do. Why the fuck does everyone want something from me? Who am I to them? And who really gives a shit? Who gives a flying fuck about who I am? When I wasn't anybody, nobody was around and gave a shit. Now all of a sudden I've got this important thing I'm supposed to do, and now they care? This is weird. Why didn't my parents tell me about any of this shit? Well, your parents were fucking murdered. I'm like, okay, well. They never made any mention of any of this stuff, and how am I special? I lived a normal life. I worked at my dad's shop, and no one ever, I was just a kid. I thought maybe the most I was ever going to do was try to get myself an education, but I already knew that wasn't going to happen, and I was going to work in the shop the rest of my life. But now I'm fucking some sort of motherfucking hero to these people? I don't even know what to do. I've never done anything before. I have zero skill in anything. And I'm supposed to save people? That doesn't make any fucking sense. I can't even start a fire by myself. I can't even fucking learn how to... I've never, because it takes place in fantasy world, I've never wielded a fucking weapon before. Now I have to talk to people about this shit? I don't know what's going on. So it's like, you're definitely going to see him doubt his whole journey and just be so confused. And hopefully, if I fucking do it right, hopefully by book 3 going into 4 eventually, you'll start to see him finally like, you know what, I think I'm kind of figuring this shit out. I think it's finally starting to make sense to me. I think. I have no idea. I'm guessing at this shit. Because I thought it was incredibly important to highlight what we all feel. I don't, like being an adult, we always would joke, like you think when you're young, the adults had it together, they knew what they were doing. And you became one, you realize none of them did because you reflect back and remember the shit they were saying and being. And then you think of yourself, you're like, oh no, they had no idea what they were doing. That there's some sort of solace in that. But I wanted to capture that. So right now, Eris is kind of in this twilight of like, all these, because he's 17, all these adults, they're figuring it out. They know what they're doing. I'm just going to listen to them. Clearly, why would they lie to me? And so there's going to come a time where he's just like, I can't keep doing this because every time I listen to them, I don't get the answers that I want. I'm getting answers that they want me to have, or they tell me what I should be thinking. This doesn't make sense to me. And then you go off alone with yourself and you wonder, like, what the fuck? And so it's that experience that we all have. Like, what do I do? And you know how some people say fake it till you make it? Which is the dumbest fucking thing I've heard. That's not that. Yeah, that's a great way to be. But I digress on that. The point for me was... I don't know if Eris will ever fake it or pretend. Let's make believe here. Let's say he becomes the fucking master wizard of the entire world. I don't think he's ever going to be a Merlin. He's going to more like be like, okay, we got Merlin's coming in. He's going to solve the problem. And then Eris rolls in and is like, okay, what do we do? The city's under siege by a dragon. And there's a horde outside of orcs that will destroy us all. What do we do? Merlin, Gandalf. And then Eris is like, let me just give me 2 ticky-tacks, and then we can figure this out later. And then eventually, he just kind of sits back and like everyone's doing things, and he just highlights what they're already doing. Like, you're already good at that, so you guys are all doing it already. Cool. And then, as people are, they want to be directed because they don't want to make their own choices because they don't know how to do it for themselves either. So they're looking at you to make choices, and all you're doing is highlighting what they've been doing and just giving them you guys got it. You're already doing it. And they're like, oh, okay. Because people need that. That's going to be Eris. He's not going to be some fucking stoic, standing there above the fucking, the whole scene and like, as a master general or whatever the fuck, and has this keen insight of how we shall destroy the enemy. No, I don't think so. I don't know how to write that because I'm pretty sure you gathered by watching these videos, I'm not that guy. I'm never going to be the confident, sure, person that's stoic. It's impossible for me to understand that. I'll never claim to know something I don't. So I think for me, Eris reflecting myself is just going to be how it is. You talk to Eris, the master wizard, it's like watching one of these videos. He's just going to talk the way I talk about shit and say a lot of like, but then again, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think that's what's going on, but I don't even remember what I just said. I just channeled that and I don't remember. You just talked about opening a door to the world of the gods and using the animus of man and the animus of God to go into the anima. And I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that, but all right, we'll do it. So, I don't know, man. Hi. I think it's just difficult to, as I go back to the beginning, what I fucking just said when I mentioned all this stuff, is I don't know how to keep this all straight sometimes. I know what I'm going to do. I know who the characters are generally. I know how to do this stuff. I just struggle heavily with how to get them there sometimes. Right, Sissy? Sissy Wissy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway, I really think we should venture into Write today. We'll see how we do. What perspective will I choose? I don't know. What character will be highlighted? I haven't a clue, you know. But anyway, we shall end it here. Cut it from there. Chop her down, and then begin the writing experience.